I've never met a single person that's comfortably retired off of a 401k. I'm still waiting for that day, right? But like all of us and all of your audience listening, we're all the same mindset. Like we need to take control of our financial future, right? And create some accountability and control over that. And so I think real estate is the path. I mean, it's the most predictable path to wealth. But yeah, to answer your question, so rent to retirement, we're a turnkey provider mainly in the build to rent space. So essentially what we do is we identify the best markets throughout the country where we see positive investment opportunity, we see cash flow, we see affordability, we see economic and population growth. These are areas that have a housing demand. And then we develop our teams in those areas to essentially offer a turnkey product, which is a house that we either fully renovated or newly built, leased, and managed for our investors. So regardless of our investors' experience level, geographic location, whatever the case is, time involved, they can easily still build their investment portfolio successfully where they're not having to buy themselves another job. You talked about flipping and wholesaling. I've been through that whole route as well, right? And that's great, but that's another 80-hour work week. And it's a great way to...
Wow, you were pretty efficient.
Yeah, it's there's no off switch, and you make good money. You can make good money doing that, but yeah, you're always rolling it into the next thing, right? Like true wealth is created through owning real estate in good locations with good teams over time, and letting time do what it does with real estate, letting things appreciate over time, letting rents go up and compound, using debt efficiently, maximizing your tax benefits, and just rinse and repeat, right? That is the proven path to wealth. And we try to assist people in doing that by accessing deals across the country and diversifying their portfolio where they can either get started or scale, tapping into the systems that we've already built in these areas. So that's what we do.
Yeah, folks, I was telling Zach before he came on, because he really didn't know anything about the podcast. So he was asking, and I said, listen, the fact that because he asked, is your audience going to be right for what I do? I said, they absolutely will. And the reason for that is you wouldn't be here if they weren't. And, coming in, reading his bio and understanding it, I know the business, and I know a lot of you just don't have time to go out there, acquire the property or the land, go through the plans, work with building departments, which all of them suck, work with the inspectors, ground up or renovations and all that, deal with contractors. God forbid any of you ever have to go and start dealing with contractors to get the property to the point. Then you got to go out there and you got to find a good tenant, and you got to do all the legal paperwork and make sure you're doing all the compliance stuff. And then after you get the tenant in there, you got to manage it because they're going to have questions. The toilet's going to overflow. The light bulb's going to burn out. The dog's going to pee on something and rot it away, or kitty cat, whichever way you go. And that's all stuff you're going to have to deal with. But what they do is all of that for you. Just imagine you just go and do what you do because like, and understand what it is you do. And you just keep doing that. But you want to get into real estate, but you don't want the hassles that we just talked about. And I strategically in the beginning explained all those headaches for a very specific reason, because what Zach does is eliminates all of those headaches. All you need to do is identify an area, a property, and what you want. So your needs and your goals. I tell that to Zach. They basically will show you the inventory they have, and you just got to buy it. Which brings me to the next thing. And the reason I brought up 401ks is most people have one job their whole life, right? I was kidding. You have lots of jobs your whole life, which means you have lots of 401ks that a lot of times you either roll over to the next place or you move to an IRA. And then it's at some brokerage where you're hoping and praying that your returns are good, but you know that after this election, they might not be. So in this case here, you could just move those retirement funds into a self-directed IRA and then use your self-directed IRA funds, your retirement dollars, to then buy actual tangible cash producing assets that are managed by Zach and his companies. And now you just collect checks, predictable, consistent income. And that's just getting started, because one other thing that Zach does that I want to go to, and I'm saying too much. Normally I never talk this much for the guests, but I just love what he does. So I feel like I'm just kind of just trying to lay out the red carpet here, because I think this is something all of you desperately need to learn about. But once you get to that point, they also have lots of financing options for you, because some people come in and they want the assets and like, I just don't have all the money to buy it. Zach, how would you help people that maybe are just a wee little bit short on the money to buy the turnkey property?
Yeah. And again, thank you for all that, Chris. I couldn't have said it better myself, but we all run out of capital, right? That's the most limiting factor is you put money down on a property, you use leverage, and then guess what? Eventually you're out of capital and you have to decide how you can be a creative investor to scale. Our business, we've been successful over many years now, not just because we're selling quality new construction homes in good areas that cash flow and produce good returns, but mainly because we help our investors strategically scale their portfolio. The scalability is the name of the game, right? If you want true financial independence and generational wealth, which are buzzwords we hear about all the time, you have to build a robust and diversified portfolio, and you have to be creative to scale that over time. And capital is the most limiting factor. So we work with investors to access capital. There's a lot of different things you can do, and we help to coach them and build out a strategy so they can actually learn how to scale and strategically buy real estate continually over years. Our clients are our clients for life, as long as they want to continue to invest in real estate, which I feel is a lifelong journey. But to be specific, we help people look at different ways that they could access capital. This could be like a HELOC in some of their primary residence or in an investment property, because actually there are very attractive HELOCs and HE loans available on investment properties. A lot of people don't know that. Like you mentioned, maybe rolling over a 401k or self-directed IRA to invest, bringing in partnerships. If you need to learn how to raise capital, we also have things to do on that, and courses and communities where you can do deals with each other. But really the big thing is accessing creative financing options. Most people think, and most of our investors use conventional financing, your Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans, putting 20-25% down, because we mainly do residential, single family, and small multi. That's our core asset class because it's predictable. And then there's high demand in these areas. So that's great. But there's also many other loan options available. We have loan options where people can put 0% down. These are credit unions, local credit unions, where they offer 100% financing. People hear that and they're like, what? There are credit unions, and this is geographically dependent, where you can have 100% financing on a property. Now, that may not be positive cash flow. Just know that if you have 100% loan to value, right? And you don't have to put 0 down. You can put 3 or 5% down. They will finance up to 5 properties. We also offer seller financing options. We offer a lot of incentives where we buy rates down to 3.99%. There's just a lot of creative ways we can help people scale their portfolio strategically, depending on what they're looking to do. And as you grow your portfolio over time, you build equity. Just again, real estate doing what it does over time. There will come a point in time where you have equity in the house. Usually year 4 to 5, we see people either selling and 1031 exchanging to roll that equity into more deals, or maybe they're taking out the equity on that property or restructuring debt. It's all a dynamic process, and I know that you know this, Chris, but it's just about helping people put together a plan, right? And you said maximizing tax benefits. That is so huge, especially I know a lot of your audience are high income earners. That is the easiest way to give yourself an immediate raise, right? It's just to reduce your tax liability, and real estate is the best thing to do that. For example, we can have people, buy short-term rentals where they self-manage it the first year. Even if they're not a real estate professional, they can still take accelerated depreciation because they're self-managing that first year. And that could be in some cases, a 6-figure tax write-off on a house that they just buy that first year, even if it's their first investment property. Now, it takes a little bit more work to do that, but second year, they could turn it over to our managerial team, So it's just creative things like that we try to work with people on.